Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we have a video covering Mando and Grogu and the plot leak that we got, which I think is pretty neat. And I'm going to give a little talk too later on about student filmmaking and tie that into Star Wars, because I'm going to guarantee you have not seen anything like that on the internet. Anywhere on the internet, on this app, anywhere else. It's going to be a brand new perspective for you. And it's something, some that I need to talk about on here at some point. It's a huge thing kind of going on with the film business right now, and that needs to be spoken on. So, yeah, without further ado. So with Mando and Grogu, we got the plot leak that it's basically going to be about EMBO hunting down ROTTA the Hutt, and Mando and Grogu have to go basically protect ROTTA. That's the deal is. And to me, that's, because I grew up with the Clone Wars, and I love the Clone Wars and everything, and, I loved those characters, and they're so, they're not really obscure, but, they're so deep in Clone Wars. I feel like for most Clone Wars fans, those two characters are really iconic and embedded in that show. So this is very much a treat for me seeing them back seeing them really on the big screen for the first time. Other than ROTTA, he was on the big screen for the movie, but EMBO never was. So that's going to be really cool for me, just right off the bat. And, yeah, that's going to be sick. I mean, this is going back to the roots of that show, to season 1, where it was just about bounty hunting and it wasn't about all these other things. And that's when they messed up, was when they went too far into lore because they don't understand it. So here's a good image for you. It's like building a submarine that will implode if it goes too deep. That's what they are making stuff was deep in Star Wars lore. It's like they don't have the foundation built for them to go that deep, or deep enough, for us to really believe in them and trust in what they're doing and what they're making. So I'm glad that they acknowledge that, hey, our submarines are imploding. We can't do this anymore. And instead, they're just going on boats. They're taking boats or speedboats or something. Or maybe little underwater vehicles that kind of, go underwater, submarines that don't go super far down. That's kind of what they're doing. And it's I respect they're going that approach, because we're seeing that with Skeleton Crew, and now this, they understand, hey, we're shit at our jobs. So we need to do something in the meantime that won't, ruin this brand even more than we've already ruined it. So I'm seeing a little tiny ounce percent, not even 0.5% of, what's it called? Self-acknowledgement. But yeah, it's man, I personally don't see a problem with this plot. I understand Theory's standpoint, which is it seems shallow, and this is just going to be a little Clone Wars episode. It doesn't matter to anything. But it's okay. I don't see that as a issue, because Mando season 1's premise was more shallow than this, and it was literally just a lone Mandalorian warrior finds a bounty that changes his life. Pretty much, that's season 1. He finds Grogu. It changes his life. It changes him as a man. That's all it is. That is way shallower than this, and we all love that show. And, this is kind of a film kid thing, is because I've learned a lot about, the premise versus synopsis versus plot and all that. I've kind of they've dabbled on it in school and film school, and then I've really gone into it myself. And there's a lot of layers to this onion that, aren't there in a plot. In it, like a, what's it called? I'd say this is a premise. Yeah, so in this premise, so the premise is just the core of the onion, but you have all those other layers to it, right? And now we need to hope that all those other layers are good and beneficial to the plot, right? But the simplicity of the plot doesn't matter. Does it sound like it could be Star Wars? And that does, to me. And I think objectively it does. There's nothing in that synopsis that's like, ooh, that's going to be horrible. Like, if we got that kind of synopsis with The Acolyte, do you understand, like, how repulsed we would have been from the get-go? Like, twin sisters split apart because right? Like, come on. Now, we would have automatically known that's going to be shit. So just based on this, like, this premise, we are getting a Clone Wars, regardless of how shallow, if it's deep or not, we are getting a Clone Wars episode in live action with AT-ATs and Hoth. Who cares? Like, at this point, guys, with Star Wars, what do you expect from them? They're not going to make one of these movies ever again. And it's delusional. It is straight up delusional for you to ever expect them to make anything of the quality of any product George Lucas directed, wrote, or produced. And that is an objective fact. So, with that in mind, with the note in mind that they are shit at their jobs, I think this is a pretty good step, in the direction of, hey, let's actually make Star Wars, and let's not make something completely different. Let's not make The Acolyte. Let's not make like Andor season 1. Let's make Star Wars. That's not comparing Acolyte and Andor, but you know what I'm saying, like tone wise, like let's go in the direction of Star Wars. This premise feels like it could. This is all about vocabulary because we're talking about Disney stars. It could be great. And as a huge Clone Wars fan, I'm ready for this. And this is the only Disney project that I'm looking forward to and excited for. And I heard the things about Hayden, Ewan, and Ariana Greenblatt being in Ahsoka Season 2. That sounds insane. And the fact that Anakin will supposedly be very present throughout that season, I'm very excited for that. But that's like very rumor filled. And that hasn't been as established yet. If they ever kind of really get that rumor to more of like a leak level, then that will also be really exciting for me. But until then, this is the only project that I'm really have been looking forward to, because like Skeleton Crew, I didn't give a shit from the get-go. Acolyte, wasn't into that. Even with the trailer, I was like, we'll see. Obviously, it was the worst show ever made. And then ended up being that way. And then this kind of has been happening where it's like Bad Batch, I don't care, right? Like all these shows, I don't care. This one is like something where I feel like we could go on an adventure, that makes you feel like, you're in real Star Wars land. And that's not something we've gotten really a lot ever, I'd say the last project I was really excited for was the Kenobi show. And obviously that didn't turn out well. But that was the last project that I was like genuinely super excited for, you know? And this one, I'm excited for it. And, you know, that trailer, that teaser was insane at D23, you know? And I felt the tone of Star Wars. I saw the visual look of Star Wars, you know, and I was like, all right, I think we're going back to somewhat of Star Wars again, you know, that would be great. So, yeah, sure, it seems shallow, but I don't think it really will be, because we've also got rumors and leaks of the Imperial Shadow Council being heavily involved. So it's like, we already got that confirmed that we're still tying this to the rest of the Mandoverse. So, you know, I just, you know, I don't think, maybe, I don't know, maybe Theory didn't remember that or something, but that is something being heavily presented and the trailer and everything. So, like, we're good. And hearing that is the premise of the show, and it's not some side character, gets me. It's just so relieving for me to see that we're just getting a fun Star Wars adventure, you know, like, that is really cool. And it's being directed by Jon Favreau himself. Like, this is sick. And I love him because he made Iron Man, and that's like, that movie was huge for me. You know, in my childhood, like, huge. And even now, just the way it was made, the way it was shot, the way the VFX were done, you know, and how it was a trailblazer, you know, kind of like Star Wars, it trailblazed, you know, having superhero cinematic universes. All started because of Iron Man. Sure, we had Batman films, but they were like in trilogies and bunches, all different universes. This started a whole singular universe. Everyone thought they were insane. Jon Favreau stepped in. He showed them, hey, this is what we'll do. Everyone loved it, lost their minds, and now we have this whole new, brand new franchise, MCU. And it was had the best casting decision in cinematic history, which is Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. There is no other casting, and I am telling you this, in any brand, anything, whether it's Star Wars, any film, Marvel, DC, whatever, that is the best casting choice I have ever seen. Ever. For anything. Like, he is irreplaceable. There's a reason why there's only one Iron Man and like 4 Spider-Mans and, you know, 5 Batmans, which that's fine because those are totally different things, you know, but there's just this feeling that he just legitimately could not be replaced. It's like him and Jack Sparrow, Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow, like, you just cannot replace them. Like, they're just, like, you can't. It's, like, impossible. Like, we won't allow it, you know? But I love that movie to death. I love Iron Man 2 to death, which is controversial, I know, but I have a lot of, you know, ties to that film as well. So, you know, I'm a big Jon Favreau fan. And he's the one who came up with Mando, not Dave Filoni. He brought Dave Filoni on later. And he's the one who had the idea for Luke to come in. Like, this man is a legend. In season 3, he almost left the whole show. He almost left Lucasfilm because he had no involvement. And then now everyone's pinning everything on him. I'm like, leave him alone, bro. Like, it's not him, dude. Kathy went in there. We heard all the drama at Lucasfilm around that time, you know, and she made him, you know, do all these things. And he still, I think, is going to leave Star Wars after Mando and Grogu just because of how controlling they are, you know? So I really hope they just let him be Jon Favreau for this film, and they let him have control. And if they do, it will be amazing because he fundamentally understands Star Wars, you know? And Dave gets, I feel like, too tied up in his own characters that he's made to, like, spend enough time on the overarching, you know, vision of it, you know, arching vision of it. So, yeah, dude, I'm very excited for that film. And like, it's like surreal because for years I've been saying, Rada the Hutt, like, what's happening with bro? Like, he's alive somewhere, not on Jabba's palace. Maul killed, like, the whole Hutt family. So, like, what the hell is happening with him? For years. And finally they announced that he's in this, and I was so excited. I'm like, dude, finally we're going to see what's happening with that thing, you know? It's like so cool. And then EMBO too, you know, he just kind of disappeared off the face of the earth. I'm like, what? I had assumptions. I was like, he probably's working for the Empire. It's probably a power struggle. I'm figuring this out. I'm piecing it together. So this is probably a power struggle between the Hutts or ROTTA, whatever the hell ROTTA's involved with, and the Empire. And they have control. The Hutt people have control over a territory that the Imperial Remnant want. So they sent EMBO to find him and kill him. Boom. Done. There you go. That is going to be Mando and Grogu. I'm remember this video. In 1 year, when this movie comes out, remember this video, and I'll do my review on it, and I'll be like, I told you guys. And that is so fucking cool. Please, like, I need this movie to be good. I need to sit back in a Star Wars movie theater and have it be good. And I have a strong feeling this, if it is done well, if they let Jon Favreau cook, can be better than Rogue One and Solo and be the best Disney Star Wars film. Now, that is not a very high bar, but it could set a higher bar. And I love when films set a higher bar. That's what A New Hope did for all of film and all of cinema. It set a totally new bar. You know, it's like, yeah, like, come on, like, this could be great. I really, really, really hope that they just let Jon Favreau do his thing, and that Dave doesn't spend a bunch of time interjecting his own characters into everything, and that he just, I don't know, just let Jon Favreau cook. That's all I'm saying. And here's the thing with Dave, too. If Dave is doing something in the Clone Wars era, I trust him. Because he has a crap ton of experience there, right? Like, he knows that era like the back of his hand, I feel like. So, I trust him over there. But when it comes to being over here, we've seen that he can be iffy. You know, so I hope he, calls George and asks him questions. Because, what we've seen, yikes. Yeah, but this looks cool. I'm very excited. This looks awesome. And then we also got the news that Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka will be in Ahsoka Season 2. Obviously, that infers flashbacks. Why are they relying on flashbacks? Who cares? We're getting more Anakin. We're getting more Obi-Wan. We're getting more Ahsoka. If it's done well, if the plot is done well, I will take that all day over Skeleton Crew, Acolyte, all this crap, like, give me that, and I will be 20 times happier as a Star Wars fan than I am right now, so I'm just saying, that looks sick, but yeah, I hope that is, really happening, and another rumor I heard is Hayden's going to be in that season a lot. Not just in cameos, but like prevalently involved. Kind of helping Ahsoka along on her journey. That would be incredible, and I hope that happens. Just the only concern with that is just I want to make sure that Anakin's done right. And Dave wrote him a lot in Clone Wars, so I feel like it could be done. It should be done really well. But you never know when the Disney exec wants to walk in there and throw their DEI or whatever in and have Anakin say something ridiculous like, "You're stronger than I could ever become, Ahsoka." Like, not true. He'd never say that, you know? So it's like that kind of stuff, you know, like, yeah. Um, but I think all that DEI stuff is slowly shifting too, um, you know, with the new president and everything. I think that he'll kind of force things to change, which is great, you know, and I'm glad that finally someone is going to step in and put an end to that BS of, you know, forcing liberal politics into all of big media, you know, and it sucked for us because like they've they've done so much damage to these brands just based off of, you know, politics and having strong whatever this and that leads, and instead of focusing on plot, focusing on what the color of the skin of the person they're hiring, you know, it's like, or you know, whether they have balls or not, you know, I'm really glad that that's changing. Like that will be the huge help for the film industry. I'd say the biggest help we could get right now is just because we've seen that people can make good movies. It's just all of those independent feeling films are heavily political in some way, shape, or form, and that needs to stop. And once they're not allowed to shove politics into movies anymore, then we go back to just having good movies, you know. And obviously there are brands that just have horrible plot lines and horrible whatever, which that's Disney too. So ultimately Walt Disney Pictures is just cooked in general. But you know, that takes a half of their problems away, you know, so that would be pretty cool. Um, and the most of their stuff with Star Wars is just plot related, you know. The DEI was really only a problem in The Acolyte. That was like a huge issue, and on their social media, which is like when they had this like female only Bad Batch fan video that they made where they showed them the episodes early and they only had females there. It's like, what? Like, I was like, that's really just such a weird thing to do, and it had no affiliation with anything at all. Like, they just did that casually and thought that we wouldn't notice. It's like, that's BS, dude. um yeah, so I'm very happy that things are shifting and that, you know, I could maybe get a job at a bigger studio now, you know. That's awesome. So I'm looking forward to that, and I hope that things actually do change and it's not all just talk. So um yeah, so that will be interesting to see. um Now tying this to student filmmaking and all that stuff that I was going to talk about, there's a lot of I guess division in, or this preemptive thought in the student filmmaking world. I won't say industry because it's not. It doesn't profit shit. And that's the common joke about student filmmakers is they go into debt for their movies. They don't profit off of them. But being one of them, you know, not like serious, not debt, but like, you know, you lose a lot of money, but it's worth it because you're making your art. But my point being is, if you really want these studios to change and you want Star Wars to change and you want all these things to change, you know, you can sit there and you can blabber about it online all you want, you know, and you can just talk. They should do this, they should do that all day long. But there's no better statement than actually doing it. And you don't even have to make Star Wars. You could make your own movie, your own short, whatever the hell, that has the things that you love about film and that you used to love about Star Wars in it. Make that, go, well, I just did it. and you show it to people and they see it, that is the biggest, I guess, metaphorical slap in the face to Disney you could have, rather than talking about it online. Because that is when they can't just call you a toxic YouTuber. Like, you just made a film that completely proved your point and disproved theirs. That's like a huge thing, you know, and getting that film out there. That's massive, you know, and showing them like, hey, this is really what we want to see. We don't want to see this. We want to see that, right? Like that, doing something like that, that's really where you make big change, you know, and making, then from there, just making movies and getting into the industry, you know, and then breaking into Disney or whatever, you know, now you physically cannot because there's that DEI barrier. But once you break past the DEI barrier, if you're lucky enough to have the pass to get through, get into Lucasfilm and change it. People are scared to work there. They're like, it's toxic, it's this and that. Be the one to change things. And if they fire you, spill everything to the public, to news outlets, to then do you know what? Like, they're done for. At that point, if all that info gets out, they're done. You know, and it's like, sure, it's not easy, and it may be impossible, you know, because they have such limited spots, whatever, but, you know, I'm not saying you all have to go to Lucasfilm to change things. It's just like, we are the next generation of filmmakers. So it went like Orson Welles and another generation, then George's generation. You know, now we have like Jordan Peele. Then it's going to be us. You know, and the majority of Jordan Peele's generation just fucked the industry over in every way. Like, it is, you can look at the shoot dates in Los Angeles. It has dropped by like 30% in like from 2022 to 2023. It dropped from like 36,000 shoot days in the year to like 24. Like, it is so bad right now. And that is literally because of these big, like, these guys who just don't know what they're doing. You know, and it's like, that's gonna be us now. You know, and my point being is, don't all of these guys, these student people, are following that generation that has destroyed our industry and destroyed any chance of any franchise being better because of this push of being ultra indie feeling and having all these weird complexities and absolutely going after any film that doesn't meet their quota and have, you know, A, B, and C storytelling methods. You know, it's like, that has just destroyed our industry. Okay? And the point of me even making this is I'm trying to connect it to Star Wars, but it's hard to. It's just like something I need to say, you know, is make the movie you want to make. Do not make the movie that your friends want you to make. Don't make the movie for it to win awards at film festivals and this and that. You know, don't make a movie to try to be like this failed generation of filmmakers before us. Don't do that. Okay? Because if we do that, we're just gonna be on the same path, and we're just gonna it'll be gone. It'll all be gone. You know, so what we have to do is, if you like making action movies, if you like making films with big sets and big whatever that don't feel super indie, that don't rely on DEI, that don't rely on staying in this little world and staying in your neighborhood and doing this weird psychological thing. Don't do it. Just make your action movie. Make that movie you want to make. Because a lot of the issue now with Hollywood and in Lucasfilm is this incessant need to stay feeling independent and to to everyone having this prestige over their films when they're a student filmmaker in high school. It's destroying everything. And this is why Leslie Headland was able to make The Acolyte. Because she had no one to sit her down and be like, this is ridiculous. This can't go anywhere. That conversation never happened. So with us, don't stick to that. People always say that indie filmmaking has no barriers and has no this and has no rules. And I'm here to tell you that's not true. And I've experienced it firsthand. These people, they're maniacal with the way that they look at film and how everything has to be, made in these just promiscuously weird ways. And you can't just make a fun movie anymore. You can't just make a fun movie. You can't just make a movie because you go, oh yeah, we haven't had a good cowboy movie in 30 years. Not 30 years. 310 to Yuma was great. What would that be? 10 years or something. We haven't had that. So I'm going to do it now. It's and it's not going to feel indie, and it's not going to be shot on film, and it's not going to have all this, just do it, dude. Don't listen to these people. And they're contributing to this industry falling to its knees because they think they are above everyone else. They think they're better than George Lucas. They think they're better than Steven Spielberg. They think they're better than Jerry Bruckheimer and Jon Favreau and all these filmmakers who make fun movies that have inspired generations and generations of filmmakers after them. Don't listen to these guys. They are honestly so self-absorbed to even try to say that their movies are more film-like and cinematic than a movie made by Steven Spielberg. This is what these people say. And now we've seen what those people do when they are in this industry, and all they do is ruin it. The industry, it doesn't make money anymore. The only movies that make money are fun movies. The only movies that make money are fun movies. I'm telling you. And all those fun movies have amazing plots. They do. But it's they're the only ones who make money. And there are those occasional ones that are just junk and they're normally kids animated films that they, just take their family to see because it's out. But when you have movies like Deadpool and Wolverine, or Disney's one good film in 10 years, Inside Out 2, just from last year, those had genuinely good plots, character development, etc., but they were fun, they were entertaining, and they kept you engaged. Now it's, I need to make a film that makes 0 sense and then have everyone, and an amazing 10 out of 10 weird cinematography, then have everyone spill their seed all over it. It's no, dude. And they have caused this whole thing of well, it looks like I can only make fun movies if I have $1 billion. So I guess I don't want to be a student filmmaker. It's don't listen to them, dude. Seriously, don't. Please, don't listen to them. Because we need more people who are willing to accept fun films as films. We need that back now. Because when people look back at the old movies we used to have, they were just fun and they were immersive and infinitely rewatchable. They had a world that you could just feel like you could step into and just get lost in it. Star Wars, Marvel, Harry Potter, Jurassic Park, like those are just 4 of so many, or I'd say even, the Batman films, or, James Bond, or just something like Blade Runner, Alien, like all these films that are just so iconic, but they're just fun. When you watch them, you're not like, oh wow, I'm now confused and I have to study this plot with my marker and pen to understand it from a basic level. You can watch it, go, holy crap, that was crazy. Holy crap, do you see the size of that ship? Or how did there's dinosaurs there, how'd they do? That is film. That is immersion, and that's exactly what has gotten every single one of us into this place. So now you're going, let's take all those elements that I have loved to death out and instead make these weird indie movies to please the system, to please the DEI people, to please all these independent film festivals. That's where we're at right now. And I'm telling you, if you do this, you're taking away another kid's introduction to film could be your film. And if you're not doing those things that just capture that magic, we're going to be lost, dude. It's like, fine, use your stylized whatever, but just, if that's your thing, whatever, but don't try to tell everyone around you and force everyone around you into believing that those are the only real films and the only real student films, and that the rest are all just fan fictions and fan films and fan this and fan that and iMovie projects. It's like, get a life, dude. I don't know what throne you're living on. What trip what kind of, like, I don't know what substances these people take to say the things they say. It's like, so what? My film's different. It's fun. It gets better, majority of audiences would much rather watch a film that is fun and immersive than a film that spends 3 hours and 3 conversations and in someone's head. No one wants to see that. Nobody. And A24 is the big threat for that right now. They are trying to implement this agenda of every movie being like that, being lame, being boring, not engaging audiences. You can look at the financials. They prove it. They don't make money. They're not making the money of these other movies. So off money alone, you can tell it doesn't work. It doesn't engage people. And our whole industry is pumped with these garbage films. Like, it's at a point now where, like, there are months of the year you just don't want to go to the theaters. Because it's pumped with garbage, with this independent garbage that just, like, swallows all of the imagination and creativity of film and shits it out. Because now all they care about is fulfilling the correct way to tell a story book. Not the, let me be creative. Let me do something different. Let me take you to another place. Maybe another place on Earth. or let me take you back to an older time. No, 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 no. It's you're just watching a film of regular day life. That's just lame. And everyone believes that, except this minority of people who are killing our industry. Like, I don't know, like, I am the only one in my entire class that is trying to change things, to make movies fun again. And all I get from anyone is flack. Constantly. And I don't care. It's not like I'm offended. But I'm more taking that and applying it to the bigger picture. And I'm going, so this is why we're not getting these movies anymore. Because of these assholes who think they are Christ Almighty of film and herefore know everything. It's like, you don't. You don't. All these kids who think, you know, watching BTS videos and reading BTS books and learning how these films came to be, you know, and accepting when they mess up in their films and how to grow from those mistakes. They think that's weird. It's like it alienates you from them because you're not just pumping stuff out without any context, you know? It's like all filmmakers had to learn from someone. You know, George Lucas learned from Ford Coppola. Spielberg learned from somebody, right? Like, Spielberg made, like, just a ton of his own films and then looked at professional film work and tried to replicate it, right? Like, and that's what I'm doing. I'm taking the Spielberg approach of just, like, I gotta figure this out somehow, and no one else is showing me how to do it. You know, it's like I'm being pushed and indoctrinated into this stupid view of you have to make films this way. I am not going to make films this way. I refuse to make films this way. I'm not using outdated technology. I am not using these 28 different storytelling methods that'll make your audience think. No one cares about those films objectively. And if you want to try to claim that is what will bring the industry back, you are wrong in every single way, and I can prove it to you. Look at money. Look at box office. Look at gross. Look at polls. Look at general interest. You're wrong. Like, dude, like this, and this is what is killing Star Wars now, is you have all these prestigious, just crappy people pumping these projects out because they want their aesthetic all over the place. It's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, honestly, it's like you can't do things this way. It doesn't turn out well. It doesn't. It does not. Okay? It's like they don't let you just make movies you want to make. They don't. Like, they don't let you. And it's like if they do, they won't support you. They won't put your films in festivals. They won't let you get anywhere. They like will block you. So you know what you have to do now? You have to be George Lucas and beat them down and charge through the gate. That's where we're at now. Because God forbid, if I have an action sequence, you know, that doesn't ruin my film. It's like, dude, these children need to grow up. They need to actually watch movies. And that's the issue with a lot of these people, is they don't even watch movies. They like say they make films and everything. I'm like, you haven't even seen a film. You didn't grow up on film like most of us did, you know? And the most passionate people about film have loved it their whole lives. And they're the ones who make stuff that isn't boring garbage. And these people who don't care, don't have the experience, don't have any capacity of making anything that an audience would find entertaining are taking our industry over. So are we honestly gonna let them? No. And that is why I started Sade Film. Because I wanted to start a place where now, I guess, reveal, I'm going to allow other people to make films under the company and, produce their film. And, if their script is something that I see to be, just something that will make people happy, or, just something that will really, inspire someone or something. If I see that in their script, I'm going to help them make it. Because, God, we need more people who are going to make good movies again. And it's like, I don't do all this film stuff for nothing. I'm not like, making movies sounds like a fun job. No, this has got to change. Because the amount of views and perspectives I've had on things in life has been stemmed from films that have made me look at things in a different way. And it's just like Star Wars. In whatever, back in that day, independent films really were, you could make whatever you want. Like George's generation, they didn't have these assholes, blocking you and whatever. Well, obviously not for Star Wars, but, George was able to make it, and he had to push through, Actually, back in that day, it was different, man, because, none of the big studios would fund Star Wars, and then he finally found one who would, so it's like the studios were the menace now. Then, in that regard, and now it's like the opposite. Now these weird indie people are breaking into the studios and influencing the studios. It's like not directly the big studios. It's like the people within them. Those few little floaters, those drones that are just destroying it, like completely blowing it to hell. Because they need to make their film the way they want to make it, and there's no other way around this. And I don't care if it's a 3-hour conversation. I'm going to force this into theaters and see what happens. And it never turns out well for them. So this crap has got to come to some sort of a conclusion, man. It is the most destructive crap ever. Honestly. So, and it's like, and a prime example, if you're fine, so do you want everything to be franchises, everything? I'm like, no. So what would a prime example of making films that tell great stories but are entertaining? Christopher Nolan. This man is the last hope for mentally stable cinema that we currently have. Actually, it's Christopher Nolan, Jordan Peele, James Gunn, Matt Reeves. That's it. We have 4. We have 4 left that are willing to tell these amazing, incredible stories that are entertaining, make money, and get an audience. And I just say Interstellar. Literally, sometimes I'll just be like, look at Interstellar. That has weird abstract stuff in it, but it's entertaining. It has a great story, and we all love it. So it's like, that's what we should be striving to do. We should be striving to entertain, not to have our films be put in a modern art museum in a tiny little section on a tiny little screen. That's not cinema. That's just, you're making modern art. Just say it. You're not making film, you're making modern art. There's a difference. Modern art is its own genre and just weirdness, and there's some of it that's great and some of it that's just stupid. you know? And it's like, if we let all these modern art people into our industry, it'll burn. And then they're all, since they're the modern art people, have these insanely radical political values that they have to shove back into all their films that then spit out onto us. It's like, dude, and it's already happening. I'm in high school, and I already see it in full force. It's like, dude, just make a movie that is entertaining and tells a good story. That is literally what a movie is. An entertaining piece of art that tells a story. That's a film. Like, we're not even making films anymore. You know, George says, you know, cinema is just the art of the moving picture. For sure. For sure. But I in my opinion, you know, sure, objectively that's true. But your films have to have a heart. And these independent films feel like they have a formula. They feel like they're written out. They feel like they're just straight from a book, straight from a rules in a book, and 28 college professors. That's what they feel like. They're mechanical. They clank. You know, they don't move freely in ways like Jurassic Park did, where you know that like Spielberg's mind was just in like another universe. There was no book teaching him how to do that. Not teaching him. When I mean book, I mean like rule book. Like, oh, you have to do this, this, and that. You need to learn how to make films. And you know, this is something I want to clarify. Is there's this counter argument of, what do you mean you understand film? You have to understand how to make a movie. You know, I wouldn't say they're rules. They're like loose guidelines. My Pirates fans on here, which I know there might be one. I don't know if you're still watching at this point. I know there's one of them. It's like the Pirates Code in Pirates of the Caribbean. You know? It's like you have to understand the idea, and that, hey, I have to tell a story that's interesting, and there are ways to do that. But once you get that idea and understanding, and you've watched films and you've kind of looked at how your favorite films were made and what they did, then you're ready. You know, then it's like, keep learning from the people that inspired you, but at the same time, just do it. You know, just do it, dude. Don't go off a book of guidelines, you know? Don't. And the thing is, any college or teacher, professor, any of those people that want to help work on your script, they all have their own opinions and biases too. And this is something I learned, is like, at some point, they're just going to change your vision, you know, because they're like, oh, I wouldn't do that, so therefore it shouldn't be done this way. That's how a lot of them think. It's like they think the way they make their movies is like defined. It's like, no, dude. No. And, you know, you could be like, well, that's what you're saying, right? I'm like, no, I'm saying make movies that entertain. I don't care what the hell they are. Whether it's an action movie or a drama or a comedy, I don't give a fuck. Just make it entertaining and make it watchable for everyone. That's what it should be. And when I mean everyone, I don't mean everyone in DEI sense. I mean just the world. I'm a colorblind person naturally. So when I mean everyone, I just mean the human soul. Not, oh, this is representative of my culture because of... It's not a film, man. It's not a film. And a lot of that's polluted our industry too, where now everyone thinks that their whole identity is their culture. And it's like half these people never really grew up with their culture. And it's like, dude, oh God. It's so funny, dude. The whole, entertainment industry is going to radically change in the next 2 years, and I'm really, really, really looking forward to it. I'm hoping for it to change just in the time, when I slip in there. I'm going to try to slip in now. We'll see, but yeah, that's the issue, and I've learned that, just because your favorite movie is Star Wars or Indiana Jones or whatever doesn't make you any less of a filmmaker than someone who says my favorite film is a French film from the 1920s. They're no better than you. They're no more educated than you, and in fact, I know more about the filmmaking and strategies of films and whatever the hell than 95% of 90, not 95%. I'd say 85 to 90% of high school filmmakers, because I just loved learning about how Star Wars was made as a kid. I was just like, dude, this is amazing. And then I learned the value of telling stories that entertain, and that's something George taught me. And, actually being humble and looking at these successful filmmakers and seeing, hey, maybe I'm doing this wrong. Maybe I'm not doing this totally right, and understanding that. Um, that's the big takeaway. I'd say is you're always learning. As a filmmaker, there's never a point in time where you're not learning. George was always learning. George was inventing. So he was learning every minute of every day, pretty much. But there's no point as a filmmaker, no matter how successful or old you are, where you can say, I don't need to learn anymore. Never. Like, if you're going into film, you have to accept you're going to constantly learn. You're going to constantly fail. You're going to constantly make mistakes, and you have to learn from those mistakes and then make something incredible. Like, you're going to make mistakes in your script. That's okay. Go back, change it. You're going to make mistakes in the editing room. Go back, change it, right? Like, or you make a bad project in general. Learn from that experience. It's like, dude, stop shoving yourself in this, like, corner of prestige and, like, oh, all superhero movies are bad. All these are bad because, my movies are better because they're more independent and less factory made. And it's like, dude, shut up. You and your ego. It's like, I really hope that there's more like-minded folk out there, and I hope I can get connected with some of you somehow so I can help you make your movies, because, like, dude, this has gotten to a ridiculous point that's kind of unfathomable to an extent, and I'm really really hoping things can change, because movies are just not how they were when I was a kid. Like, if I were a kid now and I went to the theaters, I would not be impressed. I would not be happy. I would not be thinking about the movie I just saw for the next 30 days. Like, no, dude, like, it's just, like, dead. We need to revitalize it, So I hope things can get better and people will make movies that are just fun at some point again, but I don't know. Yeah, and Mando and Grogu is the epitome of that fun movie that I'm looking for, that has a good story and whatever. If they let John do his thing, if they let John fully have control, that will be a huge, I guess, like, wake up call to all these snobs, who think they're just the most talented people alive because they have one skill set in film when there's 700 aspects of making a movie. It's like, wow, you nailed 1 out of 700. Like, what a talented person you are. My God, like, these guys, they're just like, oh, I'm good now. Oh, I'm good now. I don't need to learn. I don't need to put time in. I'll just show up on set and bring the magic to everyone else's day because I'm just so good. So good at what I do. Yeah. Great job. Great job. Yeah. I'm going to make my films independent because other films are too hard to make. Great job. Great job. You're really showing that you want to, yeah, fuck these people, dude. Yeah, so I had to speak on that because, like, honestly, guys, this is destroying Star Wars. It's destroying Marvel. You know, like, DC has been saved by the GOAT, James Gunn. So, like, hallelujah. But, like, it's really bad the way things are right now. And, you know, I certainly hope things can get better. But yeah, you know, that's really all I have to say, you know, and I doubt you've heard that perspective before. And, you know, most people have probably heard the opposite, you know. Uh, it's like, or they hate these people also, they like hate to name who inspired them because they want to be like, oh, it's all me, it's all me. It's like, shut the hell up, dude. Like, really, it's like such a joke. These clowns, man, like, get the hell out of my industry. Not my industry, but you know what I'm saying. This thing that I cares for so much, you know, like, get the hell out, dude. Because they're clearly there to just make their political stance and their whatever stance, their point they're trying to make. They're not trying to actually make people happy. And it's very evident and clear. It's like, yeah, at some point, you should be able to look at your own movie if it's bad and go, dude, this is bad. And that's what I did with one of my own that I was developing. And I spent a lot of time. I was basically done with pre production. And I was just like, dude, this is not good. I was like, this is just not good. And I'd showed it to people who I trusted. And you know, I showed it to people I trusted, showed it to people I didn't. They all kind of said the same thing about it. And I was like, all right, well, I don't, you know, and if I still really felt for it, I would have made it. But I didn't. I was like, you know what? They're kind of right. This is not good. You know, it wasn't good. Um, and that's something you have to accept sometimes is like, just stop, start again. You know, it might delay your next film for 6 months, but just do it anyways. Because telling you what, it's better than just making a garbage film. You know, once you get deep enough into production, you just kind of have to get it done. Um, but for pre-production, like, dude, like, just know when you need to throw your ego away for a minute. You know, that's really the big picture here. It's like, just make a entertaining film. God, please. You know, it's like, I don't know. These guys, it's because, and it's not even like, you could be like, well, I don't naturally do that. It's like, well, you probably just haven't, A, seen enough movies, or B, really understood how things go well enough then, you know? Like, maybe that's like, I don't know. And if at that point they just have to accept they should stay small, you know? And that's fine. If they want to do that, I support them. I'm not going to produce their stuff, but I'll support them, you know, whatever. Um, but just know, I guess the overall message of this is, I guess, know your place. You know, if you prefer to stay small and do your weird things, stay small. If you want to go big, go big. And one isn't worse than the other. You know, it's just all about perspective. It's about opinion. It's about what you personally want to do. You know, I personally want to go big. That's my goal. You know, I don't want to stay this tiny filmmaker forever. You know, I want to make it to where I get a movie produced by Warner or something, or, you know, like, that would be cool. because that's really how you get out there, not by staying miniature. You're not gonna get out there. Um, so at least in my opinion, yeah. So, and it's not about fame either. It's not fame. It's just like giving people movies that they can legitimately enjoy again, and giving films that kids will, kind of embrace too. Um, just audiences that will make them happy and want to go see your movies, and that's more what I'm looking after, is just the joy and love for cinema again, which is what George did for me, and that's what I want to do for the world, so being a little independent guy isn't necessarily where I want to end up, um or even just sponsoring, being a producer. That's my favorite thing to do, really, other than directing. I love directing, but that's not really a realistic, I guess, career path. And you really could do anything if you try hard enough, but, I really like producing too. So that'll probably end up being my main thing. But yeah, moral of the story is just, I highly recommend you guys just make something that you've written or whatever, and if you're into filmmaking or you want to make a big change, and just see how well you do it compared to these people, and that'll be the biggest boost for you as a fan of Star Wars, or as like a filmmaker, whatever, and just to know that you can do that, and just consider getting into film, because we need more of us, dude. Like, really and truly, if we want to make this industry back to how it was, we need more of us. There needs to be way more of us to actually do anything. So I hope that some of us step up to the challenge and make cool stuff again. um that would be cool. And a lot of my issue is, I have my own, problems and weaknesses in film too, like these other guys. um but I accept them, and I want to learn from them. So yeah, that's all for you guys. So it was a big video, got kind of intense at the end, but it had to speak on this at some point. That's really all I have for you. My Instagram is Sade Video, same as the channel name, same logo, whatever. You can try to debate me there. You'll probably lose. But feel free to debate me on this topic. Yeah. So, yeah, thank you guys for watching. Love you all. May the Force be with you. Super excited for Mando and Grogu. See you in the next one. Goodbye.